It's your boy Brian.
And Justine.
And we're the Cartagenas.
Set the intention, know what you want. Don't be afraid to voice it and really stick by what you say.
When it comes to your relationship, yeah, you want a wife? Are you that husband? And so we got challenged in so many different ways. So let's talk about some of those challenges because it was crazy.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Create with the Cartagenas, where we talk about all things creation.
It's your boy Brian.
And Justine.
And we're the Cartagenas. Today's episode is the relationship blueprint. How to create connection, passion, and growth, not only in your marriage, but in your intimate relationship. So, babe, everybody wants to know about our relationship, about how we started, about how we came about, how we're the Cartagenas. And so every creation starts with a blueprint, with an idea. What was that blueprint for us?
I feel like one of the core memories for me was when I used to look back, and I obviously had experienced so much of what I didn't want in my previous relationships that I was ready for was my husband. So I remember, like, I used to say, and so happily, like, I'm like, God, please, like, if it's not my husband, don't send him my way. Like, I used to be so happy, like, in my own space with my friends, working on myself, that I truly felt like I didn't need any more relationships to teach me any lesson. What I wanted was my husband, my soulmate, my end all be all. So I asked God for that. And when you ask, you should receive. You shall receive. And I received.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. You did receive a big package. But now, more importantly, again, there's a lot to unpack there. But I love how you mentioned what you understood, what you didn't want. And so you were able to focus on what you did want. Mm-hmm. You were able to create a vision. And so I believe that all a blueprint is really a vision. It's understanding what your result, starting with the end in mind. And so very similarly, I also didn't want to be involved. I also didn't want to take time going through the struggles, going through the process. I knew what I wanted. And so when you know what you want, you activate something called the reticular activator system. RAS for sure. I don't want to get too technical, but essentially, you ever want to get a car? You ever think about buying a blue car, for example, blue Honda, and now when you're in the highway, you just see that car over and over again, right? So it was very similarly. It was so easy to spot when we ran into each other, but first we needed to understand what we wanted. What was the vision? And so I wanted a wife. You wanted a husband. And even though we were around each other's life without even knowing it over and over again. Since childhood. We used to hang out in the same parks.
Literally.
It was crazy. So, okay, now we're going to get into the story. Justine lived in the same block as my ex-girlfriend. We used to exchange parking spots, so to speak.
We knew the same deli guy, the Habibi.
Yeah, we used to chill with the same Habibi guy.
At the same restaurant on the corner.
It's crazy. We were at the same Bad Bunny concert when he was still out here, and not concert, in the club. When Bad Bunny was still in the club.
El Conejo Malo.
El Conejo Malo, right? We literally were sitting sections away from each other. We went to J. Cole concert, rows away from each other. And so we were always around each other's vicinity.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the end in mind. We weren't looking for each other. So there was no way we were going to find each other either.
I was best friends with my best friend who dated your business partner for 2.5 years. And we never came across each other once. And I'm talking about, I was with them 24/7. I was the third wheel, the happy third wheel. And I never, ever, ever met Brian once in those almost 3 years.
And so it's so important at the forefront of any creation, but especially with your relationship, is to know what you want. Just put it out there. You can't just play this game and date people and try to figure out in the process. You need to know what's your end, what's your outcome. Be results focused. I know it sounds kind of crazy talking about a relationship, but you need to know what you want in order to get and create the map towards it. And so now, once we ran into each other, we were able to very quickly just pick up on each other's energy. We knew that we were what we were looking for. But then it didn't stop there, right? So from there, then we had to establish what we were looking for in a relationship. So we knew what we wanted from another person, But now what does that relationship look like?
So I feel like the two foundations that we quickly established from the very beginning was like, hey, like we can go through it all. Like we'll figure it out. But the two main things for us was no cheating and no physical, like nothing with our hands, any physical, anything. It was a no, any cheating. Like it was just like we could deal with anything but those two things.
And God has a sense of humor because we literally have dealt with
Everything.
everything except those two things. So anything that can mess with a relationship, we've been thrown at, guys. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We've dealt with the partners. We've dealt with finances. We've dealt with having a lot of kids. We've dealt with our environment. We've dealt with negativity, positive, like everything you can come up with,
right
we've
from
dealt
the
with.
beginning too. I feel like a lot of people believe that we like it was so easy for us because we were in the honeymoon stage, and little did they know that life was throwing everything at us fast. Like from the very start, we had to deal with so much to like prove like, okay, do you guys really want this? Like you said you want a wife, you said you want a husband, these are the things that it takes. Are you guys really serious about what you want?
Let's talk about it. No, it's interesting because it's like, oh, so Brian, all you're telling me is that we need to know what we want, and then God is magically gonna place it in our life? No. Once you define what you want, you're gonna get all the tests in the world to see if you're the person capable of having such relationship, capable of living that life. And that's for anything. We'll talk about identity in another episode. But when it comes to your relationship, yeah, you want a wife? Are you that husband? And so we got challenged in so many different ways. So let's talk about some of those challenges because it was crazy.
Well, I feel like instantly our main challenge were our exes. I definitely had my daughter's father who, you know, we had separated already. I was living on my own. And I think a part of him still but really believed that he could win me back at any point that he wanted. So, you know, he was having his fun and I was doing my own thing, like working on myself on the side. It was never a conversation. But the moment that he saw that I was serious with somebody, like I was talking to somebody, and obviously I'm not a girl who just dates to date. Like I have through a span of 3 boyfriends in my lifetime. They're all very, very long relationships. So I felt like he knew, like, okay, she's serious with somebody. She's letting me know, like, this is serious. Like, this guy is going to take her. I have to do something. And I feel like everything spiraled out of that point. Like, his world went spiraling that he got possessive. Like, that, you know, oh, I have a kid with you. Like, what you mean? Like, you know, started using the whole daughter thing against us.
I got 3 now. Well, so it's funny because you need to know what you want. That's the focus of this entire episode. Right? You need to have that vision, because for me it was very easy to fall back like, whoa, this is too much.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deal with this. However, I was so enamored with the idea of making Justine my wife and the mother of my children that it was like, come at me, bro. Like it was just a lot. It was a lot of threats. It was a lot of
I thought
challenges.
You were gonna run away.
Yeah, there was one day where it got
God.
really crazy. Like I got threatened literally, and Justine, you know, me and her are talking, and I think we spoke before the fact, and she didn't think I was ever gonna call back. But I was so clear and concise about what I wanted in our relationship, of what I saw in her, that then going through the trials and tribulations was, I'm not gonna say easy, but it was simple. We always made it look easy. Everybody looked at us like, oh, you know, everything is flowing for you guys so easy. A honeymoon stage. It's not that it's a honeymoon stage. It's that I understand what my goal is. I have a blueprint, and I understand that I'm gonna have to layer some blocks here. I'm gonna have to throw some cement there. I'm gonna have to do some heavy lifting here and some other heavy lifting there. But I knew what I wanted. And so it was easy to overcome. And very similarly, Justine also had to deal with threats from my side, and, you know, very similar situation. There was no kids involved, but still it was a lot of attack on each other before we were able to kind of progress to the next stage in our relationship.
And it was like I feel like it was at a forefront because, you know, your ex was obviously family with your current business partners and your best friends at the time. So it's like, that was your world. That was who you saw every day, who you hung out with every day. So it's like now introducing me, a whole new person, where this is your world, but this is also your ex's world at the same time. Like, it was at the forefront, you know? Like, imagine having to go to events as the new girlfriend and going to her family, her family's house.
We crazy.
And being introduced as his new girlfriend, and you know, at the end of the day, like, that's her family as well. So it was definitely, I had to deal with, you know, a lot of territorialness, a lot of seeing her lash out, because I never lashed out back, but in the end I understood her. You a catch, baby.
Hey.
So I understood her pain, just like I understood, you know, my ex's pain as well. So I always had a lot of compassion, but it was things that I feel like at the forefront could have caused a lot of problems in our relationship. Like, it could have caused a lot of jealousy, you know, in me. And let's say, how many events were we at where she was there, and, you know, you could feel the energy of like, damn, like, I lost
it was
you, you know,
important.
like,
and again, I want to make this about everybody, right? It was important because we knew what we wanted.
yeah, we were
And
so
so
solid
we were
on
so
that.
solid. It was like, hey, a matter of fact, and I'm going to, so once we started overcoming some of those obstacles, matter of fact, not even. A couple of weeks in.
They were never obstacles.
A couple of weeks in, Justine and I were talking, and I literally told her, hey, look, I'm not saying that I'm going to give you children tomorrow. I'm not saying that I'm going to give you a ring tonight. But if I told you that my expectations from this relationship aren't children and marriage, I'd be lying to you.
I still have that screenshot.
And so we were so solid in what we wanted that anything that life threw at us was viewed as a learning opportunity,
Yes.
was looked at as growth, was looked at as just a way for us to become more. And even after that, so like, okay, that all started transpiring. The beginning of our relationship was a little bit rough, but it didn't end there. There was still parts of me that weren't up to par to the person that Justine needed in her life, and vice versa. One thing that I remember personally was, again, once we started kind of going through that and figuring that out and kind of putting all of that to the back burner, we proved that was like we had that under control.
Piece of cake.
Then I remember with my closest friends and business partners, like, we used to hang out and end up in places that that gentlemen go to. And so one time I got bagged red-handed. And I say bagged because I used to, you know, little white lies telling Justine, like, hey, you know, I'm here instead of being there. And, you know, and one day
We had just moved in.
we had just moved in
because
together.
our housewarming was literally the next day.
And so we ended up together. Well, I ended up with my friends in a gentleman's spot. And Justine was like, where are you? I'm like, Mama Juana. What do you mean? And long story short, I was not in Mama Juana's. She knew where I was at. She basically said, hey, we need to talk. Like, we're living together. And so I ran out. People started making fun of me.
Literally, he ran home.
I ran home. I was out. Like, I just, dude, I took an Uber back. I didn't want to hear it. I got made fun of. But again, I was clear. I was clear with what I wanted. I was dating Justine. I don't think we even had a year officially.
No.
We had moved in already. And I knew that.
Like 8 months.
Yeah. And I was already planning to put a baby in her already.
The very next month. Yeah.
So if I was leaning on my boys, and like, they weren't going to get me closer to what I really wanted. They weren't going to marry me. They weren't going to give me any kids. Like,
They weren't going to cook for you.
Exactly. So it was very clear what I needed to do, and it was to get the heck out of there. And when I left, but it wasn't only about leaving. Then we went to speak, and Justine said, again, and this is one of the foundational pieces of our relationship. She said, babe, if we're gonna, not if, as we have this relationship, you cannot lie to me. It don't matter if it's a white lie. It doesn't matter if it's a small lie. I am not going to partake in a relationship that includes any type of lying. And the message was heard loud and clear. I was like, no problem. If that's what you view as a relationship, I thought that in relationships you could get away with a white lie here or there. But the moment that she brought that at the forefront, she painted the vision. Hey, this is what a relationship is going to be like. I will always accept you for who you are. You're always going to be able to be vulnerable and honest with me. If you want to go see some ass shaking, titty bouncing, just let me know and we'll figure it out. I'm not saying that I'm going to be happy about it, but talk to me because there's the deeper reasoning behind it. And so I did just that. But she painted the vision. She gave me clarity as to what we were building together. And so from that moment on, I never, ever, ever lied to Justine again. I was very clear about all my intentions. And that spilled over to more than just lying. Like then it just became part of me to just share with her everything that I was feeling, everything that I was thinking, my most vulnerable, the most vulnerable parts of me, the strongest parts of me, what I felt about myself, what I felt about her, what I felt about others. And so we established that connection, right? That's the most important part of the relationship, that connection, because we were real, we weren't lying. But that all started with her painting the vision about telling the truth, about being honest with each other.
And I think it's important to know each other's intentions, right? Because in that moment, I was able to grow through that phase with you because I knew that your intentions weren't bad. I knew that it stemmed from a combination of your previous relationship where, again, the little white lies that, let's clarify. It's not like you were doing anything bad. Like, oh my God, like you used to tell me, I knew that you used to lie to be able to play Pokemon in peace and stuff like that.
Hey, don't blow my spot. Nobody know. Y'all don't know about my little nerdy Pokemon side.
He used to lie, call out of work and lie and say that he was working so he could play Pokemon.
It's because if she knew I wasn't working, then she wanted to be together and I needed some time for Pokemon. But
so, I knew it didn't stem from a bad place, but again, knowing what you wanted. So when I asked God for my husband, I knew, and coming from my previous relationship where everything was lies, to the point that I couldn't take anything that he said for face value. Like I went all the way, okay, you're here, I'm gonna still check anyways, because I can't trust that you're telling me the truth. Like that was to the point in my relationship. I couldn't trust anything. So I'm like, I don't want that. Like that's very exhausting. If I'm going to be with my husband, me and my husband have to be on the same page. Even if it's going to make me a little upset in the moment, I can deal with it. What I can't deal with is losing that trust in my relationship, especially with my husband. Like I need to have that peace of mind to be able to trust my husband above everything, above all else. Like I need to have that safe space where we can tell each other the ultimate truth without any barriers and know that we can get through it, or that's not a relationship that I'm willing to invest my time in. Like I was very straightforward. And like you said, the message was very delivered, because it's not that I didn't want him to go to a gentleman's club. He did go after.
A lot.
But yeah, but I was aware. I knew every single time that he was there. It wasn't like I'm lying, and again, also peer pressure. So I understood all of that, but it was like setting the intention. I don't care what everybody else is doing. I don't care what type of relationship they have. If me and you are going to be in this relationship, this is what needs to happen. And from there, every single time he went, it was like, okay, babe, can I go? Like, are you okay with it? Yeah, cool. I'm fine. Hey, I'm here. Hey, heading home, to the point that even on your birthday, I took you to a strip club and I was there with a stripper. Like,
what was her name?
I don't want to share her name.
Oh, touche. She was pretty cool though.
Yeah, she was cool. And like the other girls were looking at me like, oh my God, how do you do that? Like, how are you okay with that? And it's just because honesty, like I trust my man. And that's exactly what I wanted to build from the very beginning.
You build that. I appreciate that, because again, and that's why in a relationship is I believe that a relationship is the key to all of life, guys. I mean, it's literally how we create life. Like without two people coming together, connecting, being passionate, there is no growth. There is no existence. And so I am a firm believer that relationships are everything. So much so that and I've had this discussion with a lot of people, and this might be a whole podcast episode, which is your intimate partner is the most important person in your life. Don't at me. Like it, more than your children, more than your mother, more than any other human being. It's the person you create life with. It's the person who's going to be there with you forever. Matter of fact, it's the person that chooses you every single day. Your children are your children because they're your children. They love you because you're dad. Your mom loves you because you're son. Your brothers love you because you're their brother, you're their sibling, and so on and so forth. But your partner, she chooses you every day. She chooses to put on her armor on and go to war with you in this life. And so to me, that was very, very important. And I started understanding why when we started working together cohesively, and I started growing tremendously, because that unlocked a different version of me. When Justine started, when that one moment that allowed me to stop the little white lies, that transmuted to all aspects of my life. I stopped business with my family. Like, I started just no filter. I'm still a loving, caring guy, so I know how to deliver a message and be nice about it. But I was real. I was telling people how it is. I was sharing with people what I really thought, and that allowed me to grow. It allowed me to become more. And so when I think of a relationship and the blueprint, the foundation, there is no one size fits all. But there needs to be a vision. You need to understand have the end in mind. We knew the whole time what we were looking to accomplish. I don't know if you noticed, but when Justine was speaking about that whole aspect, we weren't even engaged. But she kept saying husband. My husband needs to tell me the truth. My husband needs to. But we were just dating.
Yeah.
We were just girlfriend and boyfriend at the time. But meanwhile, she was referring to me internally in her mind as her husband. Because she had a clear vision. She knew exactly what she wanted. She's giggling. Oh, I had to stop. I had to just stare at her real quick. So, babe, so we're starting, have some difficulties in our relationship. Exes are kind of boggling us down. We went through a couple of, intricacies ourselves with trust and with all of that. And now everybody thinks that from then on, is this sunshine and rainbows?
No.
So what continued to happen? What were aspects of our relationship that people can kind of learn from after, we'd established that trust and that bond? We had Jacob, we got engaged. That was a story on its own, how Jacob was born. We shared a little bit about it in one of our previous podcasts. And now, so what kind of tribulations or growth opportunities did we encounter then?
So I feel like when having kids in general, there's always opportunities for growth. Like kids are there specifically to make you grow. And I feel like a lot of people, and this could stem from just a young mindset, think that having a kid together will make your relationship all sunshine and rainbows. Like there's girls that literally believe that if they have a kid with a guy, that will be the end all be all. And it's actually the opposite. It really puts the test of creating a solid foundation of how you're gonna raise your kid in the same household with the same belief systems, how you're gonna make time for your partner, even while navigating being a parent, while providing the pressure for you as a man of providing now for more people, the pressure of me to show up for more of myself as a mom, but still not getting lost there and remembering that I'm also your wife. So I feel like when we had Jacob, that opened up a whole new door for us of establishing that foundation now as a family, and establishing the importance for us of us too, like the vision of no matter what, our kids, and that was something that we both agreed on from the very beginning. Our kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna have their own life, and Jacob's gonna get his own wife and his own family, and Jada's as well, and it's just gonna be us too. So no matter what goes on, we have to make sure that we fill each other's cups no matter what. Like that's the first thing, and then everything else flows.
And again, when you set the intention and you have the clarity as to what you want, everything becomes simple. Our relationship, by the way, has always felt easy.
No matter what.
So easy. Like, we're sharing with you guys because you guys literally asked. Yeah. You guys are, what happened? How did you guys get together? How did it come about? And so the purpose is to, bring not only just the story, but I want to give a message with the story. So we're sharing what worked, what didn't, how we came about it, but to us personally, internally, it was always easy. But that's because we always had the end in mind. When Jacob was born, it wasn't a question whether she was losing herself as a mother, whether I was too focused on other things. A lot of people that I know, once they have a kid, they think that that's, as a man, they think that that's the time to bug out. They're like, yo, she's stuck. She's a little overweight. Like, let me go, And so for us, it was very clear what we wanted. It was very clear what we were looking to accomplish. It was very clear the priority that we had set with each other. So by the time Jacob came, it was just a way for us to continue to grow to the people that we knew we needed to become.
And the support system that we provided for each other, because I remember when Jacob was born, you wanted to go back to work that same day. Like Jacob was born on a Sunday, and on Monday you wanted to go right back to work because as a man you wanted to provide. Like I get the excitement. Like I just had my son. Like I need to go get it. You were fired up, and I supported that postpartum and all.
Sure.
I don't need you need to be here. No, I'm like I understand that your mom was there, so I was okay with that. Like I was very supportive in letting you do that take on that role as a new now dad of two. And for me, you knew how important it was for me to get my body back. So what you did, like you supported me going to the gym every morning before work, or even at night you would come, babe, okay, go to the gym. I got the kids, because you knew how important it was for me to fill up my cup that way and not just get lost in the fact that I gained 60 pounds. I'm a mom now. Like you made sure that I was filling my cup as well. And we were supporting each other now in that aspect as well, which created a whole new establishment and foundation of us now as partners to a whole new level.
And I think that's when we grew the most.
Yeah.
Right? Because at that point, we had to, it was easy. People call it the honeymoon stage, when it's all sunshine and rainbows, as we're all little bunnies in bed. We have all the time in the world. We used to literally come home and smoke some hookah, watch some Netflix, drink some wine, and life was all nice and dandy. But when we had a little one involved in the middle of it, Jacob was growing, Jacob was still young. And so we had to figure out ways to be even more valuable to each other. It wasn't just each other's company that was going to do the trick. Now it was about really supporting another individual, really being there for somebody else. She knew that my business was important to me. So she gave me all the different, when you did that, by the way, babe, that's just an advice for women out there. If you support a man in him, in his essence and his alignment and his purpose, he will move mountains for you. When I saw Justine's willingness to just let me work, let me go back and build my business immediately. And it wasn't like, you got to change diapers. You got to shower the kid. No, it was like, babe, that's what you're good at. Go do it. And so I would come home excited to shower Jacob. I would come home excited to change his diaper. I would come home excited to
I would
be
never
a
have
dad.
to ask you to do anything.
Yeah. And that's because you gave me so much freedom to be who I needed to be, as opposed to trying to put me in a box. That's all. No, now you have a kid. Now you can't go out. There was times where I would even go out with the guys. There was times that I would even stay late playing poker. I was still doing my guy things while still being a present figure for not only my spouse, but also for Jacob, for the baby. And so that laid a foundation, which made it very simple for us to continue having more. It was like, hey, we could do this with 2. We could do this with 3. And so
you definitely healed that part of me, of like the having kids. Like I feel like, when I had Jade, I definitely didn't want any more kids. And then I knew that you were my husband. So I just magically wanted to have more babies. But even after having Jacob, like the experience was so beautiful that it never was in my back mind like, oh, I'm going to purposely stop trying to have kids right now. It was like, if it happens, it happens, because I'm with my person. Or babies later.
No, and so as we established that foundation, things started to flow so naturally. And then it really became easy. Then, guys, by the time that Jacob was in his toddler stage, business was booming, life was great, everything was amazing. And we moved out to a bigger home without even knowing.
Yeah.
We didn't even know that we were going to continue to expand or grow. But we were so open to creation, so open to flow, that we kind of just did. And then immediately, Justine got pregnant with Jane. Yeah. And that was a whole new experience, because there's always learning and growing opportunities. And that one, I'm going to save for another episode, because I think that really started uncovering parts of us that really require some elaboration. Because again, every child, every situation, every opportunity is just another form, another trial for you to learn from, for you to grow from. And so up to that point, we had grown so much. When Jane came to the picture, it definitely unlocked an entire new level in our relationship, with our connection, with our passion, and with each other. So, babe, before we kind of leave it there at that cliffhanger, relationship blueprint. If there's one thing that somebody in an intimate relationship can take from you, what's that?
To be specific, be very intentional of what you want. Don't be afraid to say it, to set the intentions from the very beginning. That way you're very clear, and that way you can also let your partner know, hey, this is what I want. And if it doesn't align with the other person, then you know from the front that, hey, let's not waste each other's time, because I'm not looking for that. And it also comes from a value, like value yourself enough to voice what is it that you want. And stick to that. Like, don't say, hey, this is what I want. And then if your partner doesn't do that, then it's like, oh, but it's okay. Like, no, I knew what I wanted in a husband, and I told him very straightforward. And mind you, we had just moved in, and I was so ready. I'm like, we got to move out. We got to cut this lease short. If this is going to continue, I don't want no parts in it. And I voiced that with very much certainty that you felt that. And it only took that one conversation for you to make that big shift. And look at all the trickle effects
that you did.
that happened because of that. So I feel like set the intention, know what you want. Don't be afraid to voice it, and really stick by what you say. And
for me, guys, I love to keep it simple at the end. And it goes hand in hand with everything you shared, babe. Start with the end in mind. And that's with everything you do in your life. That is the ultimate key to creation, is starting with the end in mind. But in an intimate relationship, I want to get even deeper. You need to establish exactly what you want from your partner, exactly what you're looking to experience, and exactly how you want to do it. Now, what happens from there, it's up to you, your partner, God, the universe, whatever, to figure it out. But if you don't start with that end in mind, there's no way you'll achieve the loving connection, passion, and growth that is required for you to have an intimate relationship, a marriage, and really create from a place of love and create from a place of creation. Guys, that's all for today. We'll catch you guys in the next episode of
Bye,
Create with the
guys.
Cartagenas.